All right. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna pull up the presentation first, and then I'm gonna go through some of the introductory slides and a little bit of mindset. We'll go through a couple slides today. Now, my frame of reference is I've done a handful of Zoom appointments, and when I say a handful, maybe 30 or 40, so it's not like one or two. Obviously, we've updated the presentation for the most part, even before, to be fully tech compatible. But my overwhelming frame of reference is meeting with people when I'm actually in front of them, okay? Which I do feel we will get back to in some capacity, not maybe like it was, but I think that we will. If they are local, you can go meet with them. If you do need to meet with people to get paperwork, there are some opportunities to meet with people as the world kind of drifts back into some sort of normalcy. All right. So when I would sit down with people, and I'll ask for some participation, maybe through the chat, and we can leave it to some of the new people first to answer, and then I'll ask some of the veterans to chime in. I know the veterans always want to chime in first, but I want to see the deductive reasoning from some of the new people, see how well their intuition is. And also, you can tell a lot by asking your new people questions, what the trainers are telling them, or what new people are thinking, what's going through their head, because we get a warped sense because we've been in the business for a long time. So when it's very, very, very important to build rapport with the client. Okay, very important. And there are lots of audios online. I know Ian Pruckner has a really good one on how to form people. Form is family, occupation, recreation, motivation. And it's how to talk to people. So if I see Gabe and his wife and I talk to him, and I have to try to establish some commonality, okay? And it should be genuine, okay? I don't want you to feel like it's not genuine. If Gabe and I are from the same religious community, we could share some stories about that. If that people have defining characteristics, right? And they want to, the most important person is them. It's their story. They want to talk about themselves. I always remember in a book I read a long time ago, Story Brand, it said, the hero of the story is them. It's not you. Now, we've heard that in different ways. Why am I talking? Or, wait, why am I not listening? All those things that should all these things. But, if I find out Gabe played football and say I didn't play football, but say I did play football, I would ask him questions, or we like the same sports team, or we went to the same college, or our wives are from the same parts of the country. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Okay. But you got to try to find something in common with somebody that you are genuinely interested in and excited about, so you can have some common ground and footing. Okay. Now, this is just me personally. Especially when I sat down with people in their home. I preferred to build rapport after my presentation was open and we started a slide. Okay? Why do you think that is? Now I'm going to call on people. Trishana.
I would say it just kind of gets them oriented towards what you're presenting. So like, if basically it breaks the ice.
Okay, it definitely breaks the ice. Why do you think I want to start my presentation, then build rapport? Instead of like just,
so they won't think that you're just trying to sell them something, right?
Okay. This is a hard question to answer. So don't, I want you to, this will help you actually when you learn the answer. So like I could do this, right? I guess virtually I could do this. I could just, be talking and, say it's the three of us, it's me, you, you're my trainee and Gabe and his wife. And then I could just start talking. Oh, hey, Gabe, how'd you meet this, that, blah, 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 you know, whatever it is. Tell me, are you from the area? Did you grow up here? What do you like? What, you know, whatever it is, right? Where do you work? How did you choose that profession? I could start all those things and I could just start. Or I can get started and go into the presentation. I can maybe do one slide, then build rapport. Why do you think I should do that? And I know you already answered, so Chelsea.
Well, I think it can kind of do a couple things. You know, we're trying to respect their time. So starting the presentation gets us to the goal of doing the presentation. But also maybe it helps them kind of like pay attention because they see you as like almost like an authority. But then now that you're trying to get to know them, it can kind of relax them during the presentation. So it's not so like formal.
Yeah. Yes, you are right. Okay. I will piggyback on what you said. And Trishana, you were not wrong. And I mean that. You know, when you just start building rapport, it's just a free for all. It just can go in so many different directions. You don't know how long it's going to take, but when you turn your, like when I would open up my tablet at that time, or my laptop at the time at the kitchen table, or I open up my Padfolio and I start the presentation, they're just a little dialed in. They're a little bit more focused. You know, when we're building rapport, they, in their mind, before the presentation hasn't started yet. I'm not on the record. I'm not on camera yet. It's not important. Nothing I'm saying is being documented. We're just, now I do want to recreate some of that feeling. So I always want to start. Okay. I always want to start. And listen, at least 25% of the time, at least 25% of the time, especially if you're meeting with a couple, if not more, you are going to encounter a talker. And for me personally, I can deal with a sourpuss, a gruff person, better than a talker. That's just me. If I'm building rapport, and then I look down at my watch because the person up there, and it's been 11 minutes, and this guy is talking to me about, you know, I don't know, his 8th job and how he was traumatized in 8th grade from, you know, whatever, a basketball game. I've lost. It's over. It's done. Power off. I'm done. I don't know where to go. My flow's gone. So, you know, for me, this is just me personally. Controlling everything is, and I know it's hard. You can't be a control freak, but trying to just pace the appointment and get into some flow, I can deal with that better than a bad attitude. That's just me personally. I mean, I can deal with a bad attitude better than having a circus presentation. So I want to start, I want to get them serious. I want them to, you know, and you know me, when I say this, I have children, I get it. Like I want them to put the movie on for their kids, turn the TV on in the other room. I want them to bring their wife over here, you know, because it's so different virtually, right? Like sometimes people just get up, their kid, oh no, she can hear, she's cooking, or he's cooking, or no, he's doing work in the other room, but he's there, he's paying attention. I want it to be, no, we're starting. It started. We need to go. Because, you know, I only got 20, 30, 35, 40 minutes with them on that first appointment, maybe a little bit more. And I got to make those minutes count. So I do build rapport, and I will talk about that. But for me, I always start the presentation. Let's get started. Let's get down to business. Not because I'm just trying to initially sell something, because we're really just having a conversation. But I want them to get a little serious. So that's my first tip for me. That, you know, now some people, I think if you do really well and you build rapport on the front end before even starting your presentation, more power to you. I'm just telling you my experience, okay? Because I like to control the flow of the appointment. It's very important for my sanity. So the first slide here, when we talk about fintech, I really don't say much on this slide. Okay, I actually, many times I actually glance over it. More importantly, I think this is good for something for them to read and then get started. But if you wanted to say something, say, hey, you know, we're a very unique company. We are a combination of a financial services company and a technology company, or a tech company. Remember, our goal is to eventually get them as a recruit. Get them as someone that feels really comfortable introducing us to other people, or writing us a check, or hopefully all three. You have to sell a little bit the sexiness of this company. Okay. And I'm not saying you got to do it right away, but you have to drop a lot of innuendos, subtle hints. Financial services and a tech company. There's a lot of young people. Tech, ooh, technology, right? You know, it just sounds intriguing. Now, here is where I build rapport on this slide. Okay, when I thank people, this is kind of where I start to introduce myself, talk to them, talk to the trainee. Before we'd have this on one slide, now it's two. It's a thank you, and then you have your, you know, managing the client's expectations and things like that. Okay, so remember this visual, the thank you slide, and then this is what we're going to cover today. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint with the words, but I want you to remember when we're clicking here, all the stuff. Obviously, look, this is the first slide. It ain't just two words. This is the most important, maybe the most important slide in the entire presentation. Not for the content of the slide, but of, I think someone sent on the chat, I think it was Alex, of setting the tone, being appreciative, complimenting the trainee, explaining what we're going to do here, why it's so important. Starting is very, very, very important. Okay, this slide is way more important than this slide. This is just to say, let's get started. All right. So you could build rapport before this. That's usually when I do it. Okay. At the thank you slide, that's when I build rapport. All right. I'm going to say, hey, for a second. Sorry. All right, everybody see my screen? All right, thank you. Sorry, that's some typos in there. Want to fix them. All right. So this, at the thank you slide is where I build rapport. That's where I ask them a few questions, and I on purpose do not go into a lot of time because, you know, like I said, I want to set the tone. I do want to get started. I will get to know them eventually through asking them questions about their finances. One of my go-to questions is, you know, asking somebody about how they met their wife or their husband, asking a lot about their kids. And sometimes, hey, do you have family in the area? Stuff like that, just to see how networked they are, all those things. So you do want to get to know people, what brought you to the area, certain things that people like to, you want to invoke some nostalgia, right? I mean, I love talking about my past and, you know, whatever, how I met my wife is a cool story to me. And, you know, now it's like, wow, that was so long ago. Now there's, you know, 12, 13 years later, now 3 kids and all this stuff, you know, you just start thinking about those things. Obviously you have to be careful, right? Some people don't want to revisit their past. It's not a you know, something that they care to revisit. So I always want to tiptoe. I don't go all in on the deep end right there and ask them about their life story, but I do want to ask a few things. I want to read the situation a little bit. If I see that they're happy and joyful people, and then I always ask, so what did Hi tell you about what we do? I always want to ask that. I want to see what they say. Oh, well, he said it's insurance. And I want to see if he, you know, that I'm not saying that's right or wrong, right? Maybe they're like, yeah, he said it's insurance and we needed it. I mean, so I've heard people say that before. Oh, hey, he didn't tell us much. He said he needed help with something, and Hi's a really good friend of ours, so we of course agree. You know, I want to see how much credibility they have. I always ask that. What did they tell you about what we do? And they could say something like, you know, well, he said, you know, I just had to listen to this. Just listen to it, right? And while there might not be anything wrong with saying that, I'd coach the trainee up later on the next appointment, say, maybe you don't want to say, just listen to it. I need help. Could you witness it? If they fought you on it, then maybe you could say it's no commitment, no obligation, but, you know, so you learn a lot about how people set up appointments and the attitude of the training appointment on those types of questions. And then we're going to get into the thank you statement. So thank you guys so much for having us over. We really appreciate it. Hi has been doing an amazing job. And it's great to be able to meet his parents, his mom, his dad, his uncle, his friends. You know, you always want to say something really, I didn't put this in here, okay, but I'm telling you, and you can kind of go back and listen to this. I always want to really build up the credibility of my training. And I want to say things like, hey, you know, Trishana is doing an amazing job. She's working really hard. She just passed her exam. She's one of the top new rookies in our office, whatever it is, one of the most successful new agents that we have. And then I may even flip it. And a lot of you guys have heard me do this, where I say something like, hey, and you know, Trishana, she's not married, she doesn't have kids. So finding people to do these training appointments has been a little difficult for her. So thank you for agreeing to be one of her first appointments or the first appointment, right? I always say that. So it makes the appointment a little more inclined to be nice, right? I remember when I got my first restaurant job, Samir was actually the one that was training me. He trained me. And I got a job working at, you know, Amphora's Diner temporarily in Herndon. And, you know, Samir was 2 years younger than me, and he was very good at being a server. And he'd say, hey, this is my friend, and, you know, be easy on the guy. It's his first day. I always got the biggest tips that day, right? Why? Because, you know, people felt a little sorry for you. They want to be nice. They cut you a break. You know, so you want to go for that with your training. They're just in training. They're learning. They're just getting started. They've had some difficulty getting some appointments. So thank you so much. They're also going to feel obligated maybe to introduce you to other people. Because if you did a good job and they feel a little sorry for you, not like a charity case, but a little bit just like, hey, take it easy. This is my guy's first day serving tables. You know, he's nervous. Don't be a jerk. Hopefully, that'll soften him up a little bit, right? So You know, Hi's been doing a great job, etc. It's great to meet you, you know, and then I might say something about, hey, you know what, you know, and basically, as I was mentioning you on the phone, why am I saying that to you trainers? You should be always talking on the phone or some sort of capacity before you set the appointment. All right. I don't want the first time I meet that person to be the Zoom. I'd like to talk to the appointment a little bit before. Now, if you can't do that because you're just you have so many appointments, I don't think anybody's really in that predicament. Then, you know, obviously the first time you meet them is going to be on the Zoom, but I like to always, especially the appointments I go on, I like to talk to them before I meet them on Zoom or in person. I say, as I was mentioning you on the phone, Hi is in training right now. And he has to do 3 kinds of training before he gets certified and start to go off on his own. The first kind of training he's doing is the official licensing training, which is through the state. The second kind of training he's doing in the classroom trainings we provide online. And then the third kind of training that he's doing is field training, which is what we're going to do tonight. Very assumptive. This is what we're going to do. This is what you agreed to. This is what you signed up for. We're going to be field training tonight. We always say 20 hours in the classroom equals 1 hour in the field, which is way more valuable for Hi since he's going to see some real life situations. This is Hi's first hour in the field. This is actually Hi's first hour. Or if I'm with them and I've never been on a appointment, this is actually his first hour with me. So we really, again, putting the spotlight on the client, thanking them, but also, hey, you know, making them feel a little obligated, making them feel a little guilty if they're crass and mean. And you still are going to get some mean people like that. And they, you know, think about that, right? And this is the locker room. This is us talking. If I set the table like this, and you do your job, you're pleasant, you're professional, you're excited, you're competent, and they're still kind of mean, you're just dealing with a difficult person. Just understand that, okay? There's nothing wrong with you. You set the table perfectly. You're just probably dealing with somebody that's a little ignorant, a little prideful, a little embarrassed, or bad people skills, all of the above, all right? So we all say 20 hours in the classroom equals 1 hour in the field, which is way more valuable for Hi since he's going to learn some real life situations. So ask questions. You know, your questions are very, very important. And so thank you guys again so much. Always remember this too, right? You know, the stats and the slides are important, but there is an element where this is a feelings business. And people remember how you made them feel, the general tone of the appointment. They're going to remember that guy was nice. He was professional. He was knowledgeable. He was courteous. The slides are the slides. He listened. That's more important. Okay. The words are very important. You're going to have the words. The words are going to give you added confidence. But you got to practice. You got to, you know, I tell people all the time, I practice this all the time. I practice with people on my team. You guys have all heard this story, you know, not all, but most people have heard this story. I practiced with my dad a lot. When I first started, I had a flip chart presentation. I couldn't get on a lot of appointments because I just wasn't very good and I was scared, but I practiced with my dad, and my dad did not go easy on me. And I know this sounds funny because I'm a grown man, you know, at that time, 23, 24 years old. I practiced. My dad would just give me all these questions and I would get all frustrated and I literally would be in tears practicing with my dad. And when I started going out in the field, and after I got my nervousness out of the way, I realized it was easier being with them than being with my dad. So I might as well just go on appointments, because my dad would just give me such a hard time and ask me all these questions. Well, you didn't say this about the taxes. I'm like, Dad, no one's going to ever ask me that. And you know what? No one ever did ask me. No one ever asked me the questions that my dad asked me. My dad was just trying to mentally break me, and he partly succeeded, right? But I remember those days because I never had to really focus on the words that much because I practiced them so much in front of the mirror. And at that time, you'd get a recorder and you record yourself and then you play it back. And, you know, you didn't have all the technology you could do. You could Zoom yourself a video, you can all this stuff, you can record it. We didn't have some of those luxuries, and you know, you can do those things now, and you could get good in a fraction of the time it took me. So ask questions. So again, thank you guys so much. Okay. Then we get to the next slide, which is the intentions, or the managing the client's expectations. So I'll send this training out. We actually do no marketing and advertising. All we do is word of mouth. But when we sit down with people and show them what we do, generally 3 things happen. So I used to say things like, you know, at least one, if not 3. And that's actually like, look, we're telling them what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. This is what we're going to do. This is what you're going to do. And honestly, and I'm not saying this in an arrogant or rude, I want you to draw from my confidence. You're going to get excited about this. That's why we say it. You're going to see a ton of value. I'm about to change your life. We're going to get to work today. And if you are one of the chosen few and really smart, you're going to join our team. So there are some times to tiptoe. There are, and you should tiptoe. That's part of understanding the climate of the appointment. But there are also times where you don't do that. And this is one of those times. We actually do no marketing or advertising, and all we do is word of mouth. But when we sit down with people and show them what we do, generally 3 things happen. People get excited. And they start thinking about people who could really benefit from what we do. At the very least, as you think of people who could benefit from what we do, let us know. We'll be happy to sit with them and see if we can help. The second thing is value. People find a lot of value in this for themselves. They think, if I can do better financially, I want to know. So if there's something we can do to serve you, of course, we love to ear your business. Let me change that now. The third thing is partnership. With so much uncertainty with work for people, you can go on maybe a sentence or 2 after that. I want to keep this short. People are open for additional income. I don't say work with us, because I don't think work is the right way to phrase this. You know, yeah, you got to work. I'm telling you, you got to work, but that's not the first thing I want them to know. This is not another job, because that's what they're thinking when you say work. So, you know, I'm, you know, some open for additional income, supplement their income, you know, a side hustle. I'd even say that. We're 100% virtual, remote, flexible schedule, yada, yada, right? Now, depending on how much they light up, how you got to the appointment, if they said good things or bad things about their job, I may discuss this a little bit more. If I know that, you know, Trishana said, hey, Gabe asked what you're doing and he knows I got licensed, I might talk a little bit about that, a little bit more. Now, most of the time, I will touch on this. I'm not going to go for the jugular right here, because I feel that could put up a defense mechanism with the client. And I want to recruit them on the back end once they become a client. But if I know that they're predisposed to the recruiting opportunity, I might talk a little bit more. Okay. Then we have our transition statement. And the transition statement, by the way, has anyone done any financial work for you before? Okay. Now, if I feel that if they are affluent, I'll say, have you ever worked with a financial advisor before? So I don't want them to feel bad about not having any financial work done. That's why I'll say, has anyone done any? Let me change that to anyone. By the way, has anyone done any financial work for you before? So if I feel like they're a new family, they're just starting out, I'll ask that question. But if I feel like they have a hint of arrogance, okay, which you're going to run into those types of people, and that's okay. And I'm not saying that in a mean way, just you got to understand the type of people you deal with. I'll say, have you ever worked with a financial advisor before? Which is a different question altogether. If they say yes, I'm going to ask questions. Oh, really? What have you had done? Well, I had a guy at work, he explained my 401k. Yeah, we got insurance from somebody that, my brother-in-law referred me to, or, something like that. Well, okay. So you have some products. Do you have a financial, and then I might ask, do you have a financial plan? And I want to get to the no. No, I don't. If they're a little affluent and they work for a financial advisor and they say, yes, I have somebody from Morgan Stanley, then I might ask some of the questions. Oh, great. When was the last time you spoke to that person? Are you happy with the service? This and that. Are you open to making a change? All those things. I'm going to go into it. I mean, rubber's really going to hit the road, especially now on Zoom. I'm not going to go through all the pleasantries if they have a financial advisor. I'm going to go, for the most part, right into it. I'm going to get right down to business. Now, if they say no, and this will be written out on the script, I'll go through it with you very quickly. If Gabe says, no, we've never had any work done, or no, we've never had a financial advisor, okay, great. Usually when I sit down with a family like yours, and they've never had any financial work done at all, it's usually due to one of three reasons. One, they think they need it. We don't need it. Two, they think they afford it. They heard financial planning is very expensive, or you have to have a lot of money, or they just never got around to a classic case of procrastination. They feel there's a lot of value and benefit, but kids, school, work, just things got in the way, and it's something that they put off to the side. Gabe, which one describes you? One, you didn't think you needed it. Two, that you think you afford it. Or three, you never got around to it. And obviously, I want them to say 2 or 3, right? We didn't think we could afford it. That's a great one. We never got around to it. That's a great one too. If they say we don't need it, or we didn't think we needed it, if he says to me, we don't need it, which I've gotten, not a lot, but I have gotten that. I mean, put your mouth guard in, put your wrist guard. You're getting in a fight right now. I mean, it's just going to be a wrestling match, a tug of war, and that's okay. You know what it is, right? I'd rather that than, not know. So you're gonna have to, probably gonna have to wrestle a little bit. And that's fine. I'm saying that just because right? It's probably gonna be difficult. Gabe's gonna give me a little bit of a hard time. If he says, hey, we didn't think we needed it, that's an honest answer. I was doing just fine until you came along. Until the last 5 minutes, I was good, but I have a feeling you're about to rock me, right? I mean, so that's an honest answer. And then we can kind of get into it. Say, so you do feel some benefit, but at that time you didn't need it, right? Something like that. I just want to get some confirmation, and then move forward. If he says, we didn't think afford it, so you do feel there's some value, but you felt like either you just didn't have enough money, or you heard financial planning is expensive. Yeah. How much did you get a quote? Did you get, did you sit down with somebody to try to chart? Yeah, we actually sat down with somebody and they said that it was going to be, we had to have $50,000 to invest or something like that. You can learn a lot. And then, so what do I know about him? He sought out financial advice. He saw the value, and he went through a presentation, and he wanted to do it. And then the industry shamed him and said, you don't have the money. You're not part of the elite, whatever it is. And you can learn so much from this statement. And then if they said, we just never got around to it, and then I'll confirm again, I will isolate and confirm. I said, okay, so Gabe, you feel like there is some benefit to financial planning and you just never got around to it. So do you feel like now's a good time? And I'll say it just like that. And I'll kind of like maybe raise my eyebrows, just like I did with you, like kind of like, you know, all right, let's see what you're going to say. Cause I need that confirmation before we get started. I need it. I need to know why they don't have financial planning. And I'm going to give them a softball. They can say, we didn't think we could afford it, or we never got around to it. And if they give those answers, I don't even have to overcome it. I just have to confirm it that, okay, well, I can show you something that's no cost, or we're here now. Let's talk about it. All right. So I think that is it for today. All right. Anyways, I appreciate your time. If you know, I'll let the district leaders, they can ask one question, district leaders and above.